Never before has a novel encapsulated Depression-era Los Angeles quite like John Fante's Ask the Dust. It's one of the greatest American novels ever written, and in many ways, the left coast's Great Gatsby. The way Fante describes the city and goes into deep details about its gritty and almost disgusting underbelly is simply mesmerizing. Fante makes even the hardest and hungriest of times beautiful. In the book, he says, "Los Angeles, give me some of you. Los Angeles, come to me the way I came to you, my feet over your streets, you pretty town, I loved you so much. You said flower in the sand, you pretty town." And it's in lines like these that are scattered throughout the entire book that make Ask the Dust the quintessential Los Angeles novel, particularly of that era. And when you think about great LA writers, you have to think about John Fante, and he has to be near the top of your list. But despite its merit and excellence, we almost never got this book. It wasn't widely published until about 50 years after its original publication, and that's largely due to one person. And that person was Adolf Hitler. So after a slew of successful short stories published in very reputable literary magazines of the day, Fante got a contract to write his first novel, Wait Until Spring Bandini, and it was pretty successful. And after that first novel's initial success, Fante published Ask the Dust, the second edition in the Bandini Quartet. Around 2,200 copies of the novel were printed in its first edition, but it took about 20 years for them to reach the market and then a further 30 for them to ever be widely read. His publisher decided to make Adolf Hitler's autobiography Mein Kampf widely available without any consent or authorization, and found themselves in one of the biggest scandals that the publishing world has ever seen. And because of this, Fante's masterclass was quickly put on the back burner, and all of the publishing house's efforts were put on this legal battle. The money that was supposed to go towards marketing one of America's greatest young writers was instead being paid to lawyers and legal fees. But then, just when everything seemed bleak and it seemed like Fante would end up being one of America's greatest forgotten writers, another man stepped in and, in a stunning turn of events, saved the day and changed Fante's career. When Charles Bukowski was young, poor, and struggling in Los Angeles, he discovered John Fante's work and was absolutely mesmerized by it in the way that many of us are today. While the two would not meet for many, many years, their lives became forever intertwined. The student, Charles Bukowski, would one day rise to an unbelievable fame and, in turn, make Fante widely read. And so after Bukowski's career had taken off and he became the golden goose of Black Sparrow Press, he made one major request. He pushed for a republication of Ask the Dust, and he ensured his publishers and agent that it would be wildly successful. In 1980, his wish came true, and the book was published again. In the introduction that he wrote for it, he said, "John Fante was God." Overnight, Fante became a living legend in the literary world. His destiny had finally been fulfilled. His place on literature's Mount Rushmore was finally secured. Nearly everybody in America, particularly in Los Angeles, worshipped Fante, and he inspired countless new novels. Famed writers such as David Foster Wallace even referenced Fante in some of his early works. So it's really impossible to deny his effect on the literary community at large.